This is the story of Liliana Wright, a little girl whose life was stolen after a system that was supposed to protect her failed her. I'm going to preface this by saying that I spoke to Liliana's grandparents about 2 years ago, and they did give me permission to share her story. Liliana was a beautiful little girl. She was 4 years old. She was sweet, and she had an infectious smile and a contagious laugh. Her grandparents shared with me that she was a beautiful little girl with a free spirit and a huge heart. Tragically, on March 12th of 2016, her life was snatched from her by Charles Pfeiffer, the boyfriend of her mother. So let's get into it. Trigger warning. On March 12, 2016, the unthinkable happened. Liliana was left alone with her mother's boyfriend, Charles Wayne Pfeiffer, and what followed was horrific. Beaten, tied up, left to die. The medical examiner testified that her body was covered in bruises and whip marks. Her wrists had ligature marks, and she had been beaten so hard that her abdomen was slammed into her spine. It was revealed during the trial that Pfeiffer had whipped little Liliana with a bamboo rod, had punched her, had kicked her, had tied her hands behind her back, and hung her over a closet rod where her mother later found her. Jerry testified that she had come home from dinner to find her daughter in the dark, tiny closet, bound and suffering. In court, Liliana's mother testified against Pfeiffer. She admitted that they were both using heroin and that Pfeiffer tied Liliana's hands behind her back and strung her up in a closet. But that's not the only tragedy in this story. This little girl would be alive today were it not for Judge Haddock in the 233rd Tarrant County Family Court System in Texas. See, Liliana's grandparents had filed for custody whenever they saw her coming in with bruises all the time. Bruises that little girls shouldn't have. Bruising around her mouth, black eyes, bruises on her cheeks, bruises on her neck where she had been strangled. Judge Haddock gave this little girl back to her drug-addicted mother Judge Haddock sent this little girl back home to her mother, where ultimately she lost her life. Judge Haddock found that the grandparents didn't have rights, and therefore she wouldn't even allow the court to hear their arguments. Liliana was dead a short time later. Liliana's grandparents had filed CPS reports and police reports trying to protect this little girl. Every single safe hold in Tarrant County, Texas, failed this little girl. As previously stated, Liliana's mother, Jerry, testified against Charles Pfeiffer at trial. That trial was overseen by State District Judge Robert Burns, and a jury convicted Pfeiffer of capital murder. Upon that conviction, Burns delivered a chilling rebuke. He told Pfeiffer, "You should die in a locked closet." In his final statement to the defendant, he told Pfeiffer hanging a little girl in a locked closet was savage. "You should die in a locked closet," calling it the worst case he'd ever seen. Liliana's death exposed massive failures in the system. Unanswered reports, overwhelmed caseworkers, and missed opportunities. The little girl deserved so much more. The reality is, it wasn't an overworked system. It was a careless system. It was a corrupt system. It was a system that protects abusers and victimizes the vulnerable. I myself have experience with the 233rd. See, I am a descendant of the Tarrants. My ancestors are who that county is named after. And I had to watch in 2014 as they ripped my children away from me and gave them to my abusers. 10 years later, I had to watch in horror again as the courts handed custody of my son to my rapist, a convicted pedophile. Tarrant County has a problem on their hands, and it's lasted for a good long while, and it's time for reform. Stand up for Liliana and all of the other children who are being destroyed in the Tarrant County Family Court System. Demand reform. Change the judges. Protect the children. And never forget this beautiful little girl.